welcome back, everybody. We're continuing our theme about business travel and sustainability, or bleisure, if you will, since so much of the travel recovery has been led by the leisure market, which is now morphing with the business travel market. Before I introduce our next speaker, I want to give you a little bit of a background about Saudi Arabia and UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The one thing you can say about UNESCO World Heritage Sites, if you actually look at all of them, it's amazing about how many people don't even know exist. It's amazing about, even if you know they exist, how many countries have done not such a great job in either preserving them or presenting them. For 79 years, Saudi Arabia was a closed country. It was a closed kingdom. And it wasn't until 2018 that they opened the doors and granted visas for tourists from just about everywhere. And in 2018, before that happened, I had a chance to go to AlUla, which, by the way, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which very few people had seen. And I was blown away. Now, when I was first there, it was me and 3 camels. Things have changed. And our next speaker is going to talk about that, but also importantly about what that means in terms of building a sustainable model when you're also developing an area that no one had really spent time in before. And if you've not been to AlUla, I recommend that you go. You will always be blown away like I was. So please welcome for the case study, Phillip Jones, the Chief Destination Marketing and Management Officer for the Royal Commission of AlUla.
Thank you, Peter, and good morning to everyone, and hello everyone out in the streaming world. It's great to be here in Nîmes, and it's great to have this opportunity to talk about AlUla. You know, as Peter mentioned, AlUla is an unknown destination, and I think when I was first approached about coming to AlUla, I thought it was in Hawaii, and then I realized that they flew me over to Saudi Arabia and told me, come take a look at this amazing place that I've been in the industry for 30 years, never knew it existed. And so to put it in perspective, I want you to watch a short video.
أغمض جفوني أتخيلك وبزمان اللحظة تحيا شجوني والفي على بابك والقلب يلفاك وهذا الصخر ينبض بلقياك أمشي وكفي صافح صفحة هضابك وحبات الرمل تهمس تعال هلابك أدري أني أسيرة حضورك وبنسى خطوتي بين فيافي غرورك لك في فؤادي هيبة ورغبة وسمت وبلحظة أتخيلك وغمض جفوني عيون القلب هي اللي تشوفك مو عيوني لأنك مكان يهدينا رحلة لأعظم تحفة عرفها الزمن.
So we call AlUla the world's masterpiece, and we also say it's truly a journey through time because it's been around for the last 7,000 years of continuous civilizations dating back to the Lahians and the Dadanites all the way up to modern day. But it's located about 1,000 kilometers from Riyadh, so it's in the northwestern corner of Saudi Arabia. The population is 45,000 people in an area the size of Belgium, so it's very sparsely populated, and primarily it had been date farmers. There are 1 million date farms in AlUla. Our goal is to try and go from this year about 130,000 visitors to 1.2 million visitors by the time we finished with the development of phase 1 over the next 5 to 7 years. And our goal also is to make sure that we diversify the visitor stream so they're coming from not only Saudi Arabia, but throughout the region and frankly globally as well. So one of the things that we wanted to do is really learn from the mistakes of other destinations and build a destination from the ground up. We're calling it our tourism ecosystem, with a commitment to sustainability, with a commitment to preserving and protecting these amazing assets we have. Like I say, they've been around for 7,000 years. We need to keep them around for another 7,000 years. So we're following all of the sustainability models. We actually launched our commitment to sustainability in Paris 3 years ago, and everything we do blends into the environment. It doesn't take away from the natural beauty of the area, so no big tall building or skyscrapers. Everything reflects the beauty of the region. So we're also focused on quality over quantity. AlUla will never be a mass tourism destination. Like I said, maybe we'll get 1.2 million visitors. We're at 600 hotel rooms now. We had just opened Banyan Tree last week. We opened Habitas last December. Both are hotels that are very committed to sustainability and to being environmentally friendly. Our 4 pillars, though, are heritage, arts and culture, nature, and adventure. And we're really focusing on making sure the experience is natural and sustainable. We want to engage the local community in a way so that every visitor experience is authentic. We want to focus on luxury. We are positioning AlUla as the luxury premium destination for visits to KSA. And we're also focusing on adventure because it lends itself to both soft and extreme adventure. And then, of course, we're focused on culture because that's part of the beauty of the areas, the many local cultural influences that we have to offer. Hegra is the iconic image for UNESCO World Heritage Sites. It's the southern border of the Nabatean Kingdom. So many people are familiar with Petra, which is the northern border in Jordan. Hegra is the southern border of the Nabatean Kingdom. But we also have Dedan, which is the site dedicated to the Dadanites, and the Jabal Ikma, which is early carvings into rocks, a library. We have Old Town that's been completely restored, and now we're opening Al Jadida district in November, so in a couple of weeks. We're also putting a big emphasis on arts and culture. In fact, we partner with the Palm Springs for Desert X, so every year it alternates between AlUla and Palm Springs. And we're also building something called Valley of the Arts, or Wadi Al Fan, which is our commitment to putting in place massive art installations from world-leading artists to really create an environment to support and sustain the arts community in AlUla and globally. Mariah is the largest mirrored building in the world, and we host a number of concerts. Just last weekend, we hosted Mariah Carey. On November 11th, we host John Legend and One Republic. So we're bringing in performing acts from around the world. But what's beautiful about Mariah, it's limited to 550 people. So it's not big numbers. It's very individualistic, very beautiful setting, and it reflects the valley in a very stunning way. So nature and outdoor experiences are a big part of how we're positioning the destination. Adventure is, again, it lends itself to AlUla because of the natural landscapes. And so everything from stargazing, mountain biking, hiking, to via ferrata, abseiling, and rock climbing, as well as we have a Guinness World Book of Records for the most hot air balloons in one location, 200 last winter. And so we're hoping to do that, along with, we host the Saudi Tour professional bike race and a series of other extreme performances as well. And then, we are also focused on, endurance sports. So in addition to cycling, we also do eco-trail running and trail running through the desert. Wellness and spirituality is another area that we're really focused on. We just hosted our wellness festival, and AlUla hosts a series of events throughout the year. We call it our season, running from end of September through mid-March. And we have a series of events and activities with festivals featuring different sort of aspects of the destination to really showcase those assets that we have and introduce new audiences to this amazing destination. Our hotels and resorts, we have a very robust pipeline. We expect to be at about 2,000 hotel rooms by the end of 25, including 3 Amman resorts that are currently under design. And we are building into the rocks a Jean Nouvel design hotel that will actually be carved into the rocks in AlUla, like the old Nabatean tombs from the Nabatean Kingdom. And of course, Habitas AlUla and Banyan Tree are 2 newest properties. So as I mentioned, 1.2 million visitors, 53% national, 37% international. And then our goal is to spend roughly $32 billion or euros to build this amazing destination from the ground up. And our hope is to create 38,000 jobs in the process. So in conclusion, we're focusing on sustainability, one, because it's the right thing to do. Two, because there's untapped tourism potential in Saudi Arabia, but also specifically in AlUla. The destination is stunning. Every time someone comes to AlUla and visits it, I have yet to meet someone who goes, it was okay. Everyone goes, oh my gosh, this is one of the most amazing destinations I've ever had the pleasure of visiting. And so we want to have that awe-inspiring sort of experience for our visitors. And we want to also make sure that, we partner with the best brands, and both be that hotels, restaurants, other visitor assets, to make sure that the experience is best in class. And like I say, it's the right thing to do. So with that, thank you very much, and I look forward to chatting with Peter.
Thank you, Philip. If I'm not careful, the chair is going all the way back. I know. I guess the benefit that you had with AlUla is you literally started from scratch. This wasn't like you went in there and did a rehab. This was a fresh canvas. It was unpainted.
Absolutely. I mean, when I arrived, there were 2 restaurants and 1 hotel. That was a little sketchy. You were not really happy about staying in it.
That's the sketchy part of town.
Yeah. And now we have 20 restaurants. We have, 5 hotels, and we have a new airport. We have a new executive terminal as well. So we're building everything from the ground up the right way, sustainably, properly, but also it's a greenfield. There was literally nothing there.
And you mentioned the airport. You're now having flights, nonstop flights to Paris.
Correct, on Sundays starting on December 4th. It'll run from December through the end of March. We have flights now, 2 flights a week from Cairo, 4 flights a week from Dubai, 7 flights a week from Riyadh, and 6 flights a week from Jeddah, just to name a few.
Too bad he doesn't know any of the numbers. Okay. But the bottom line, with airlift now, that opens the door for, I don't want to say bleisure, but with that, I hate that sound of the word, but bleisure really can play a part here.
Absolutely, and the other asset that we have with Mariah, it's not only a venue for concerts, but also a venue for MICE as well. And so again, no more than 500 people, but very, very beautiful setting to host very unique sort of corporate events.
And especially, the one thing is you've managed the size. It's one thing to talk about growth, it's another thing to manage it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, everything we're doing is limiting it to, focused on quality over quantity. We don't want to be, all due respect to Petra, with 1,000 people looking at the treasury versus Hegra, where you have 3 or 30 people looking at Hegra. It's all about controlling the numbers to make sure the experience is high quality.
See, my metric for this is no gift shop.
Yeah. Well, we have gift shops.
I knew it, okay.
Because but we're using local products. We're
Right.
using moringa oil and dates and citrus from the area.
Well, let's talk about that, because part of sustainability is going back to the local community. Yeah. Part of that is sustaining the local community, because you mentioned 38,000 jobs.
Yeah. I mean, remember, this destination, has only been around for 7,000 years, but the last 100, it's been closed off. And primarily the industry is farming. It's date farming or citrus farming. And so what we're doing is opening up opportunities for these young men and women who live in AlUla to a new industry. And so we're training them. We're sending them to Paris to be trained as chefs with Ferrandi. We're sending them around the world to get educated in hospitality so they can come back and be the frontline employees and leaders of this industry in the future.
But of course, when you're dealing with a local community, you also have to educate them as to the definition of sustainability.
I mean, that's a big part of what we're doing. We have a whole program to really educate the local community and make them understand that it's not okay to drive down the road and throw trash out your car. So it's an educational process, because up until this point, it was basically an untouched area. Even people in Saudi Arabia would not visit AlUla because they didn't even know it existed, really. And so
there was no easy way to get there.
No easy way to get there. Now we have major highways and, of course, airlift as well. And so the people of Saudi Arabia are discovering it, as well as the people from around the globe.
All right, elephant in the room. We have one right there, water. How do you deal with that now?
So makes AlUla unique is it's always been a sort of a stop from the incense route because it's got an ample water source. That's why it's an oasis, right? That's why there are 1 million date palms there. So what we have to do is make sure that the ample water supply stays ample. And so we're putting in place conservation methods for farming because in the past the farmers would just water everything. And now they're being taught the sustainable ways for agricultural practices as well.
Because, of course, the example we have in the United States right now is Lake Mead, and it's not pretty.
Right. I mean, the water source is expected to be ample through 2050 in AlUla, but if we don't preserve and make sure we conserve, it could run out sooner. So they're being very, very, I think, very diligent in putting in place practices to ensure that.
Any plans for desalination?
Absolutely. Desalination is a big part of the plans, not only for AlUla, but throughout Saudi Arabia.
And, of course, it goes without saying, solar.
Solar and wind are two areas that we're really also focused on because remember, the country of Saudi Arabia is transforming its economy from being an oil and gas-based only economy to diversifying, and tourism is one of the pillars that the leadership of the country has decided is the right strategy for the country.
And even though you've got a highway system now that links AlUla, once you get to AlUla, you're not driving.
No. Yeah, it's one of these areas that, I mean, there's 16 kilometers between Old Town and Hegra, and we're putting in place a new tram system that Thales, the French company, is building for us with hop-on, hop-off stops so people can get on and get off. And again, very sustainable and to support the environment and to make sure that we make all of the sites accessible, but in a way that doesn't detract from preserving and protecting them.
Having said all that, because this is a brave new world for you as well,
Indeed.
having come from Dallas,
Yes.
what's your biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge is the perception of Saudi Arabia. People still have, in many cases, an old, outdated perception of the kingdom, like I did when I was first approached about this opportunity. And the best thing I can advise you to do is come see it for yourself. Because when you get there and you see the lovely, warm, friendly, generous hospitality, you see the amazing sort of natural landscapes and all the historical and archaeological sites, it's just one of those places that is very special. And so what we have to do is make sure we invite the world to come and experience it and do so in a way that's I think, responsible and sustainable.
Well, you said the word responsible because from a responsible travel and tourism perspective, this is an unbelievable opportunity when you consider the fact that this was a closed kingdom for 79 years.
Correct, and it's just opened up in the last 3 or 4 years. And what is exciting for us is people are discovering it, and they're falling in love with it. And so one of the things we have to do is make sure that we make it available to people, but also make sure that they understand what a special place it is.
All right, second elephant in the room question, otherwise known as development. Please tell me you're not doing big condominium developments.
None. Every hotel development fits into the natural environment, all low impact, low rise, so you don't take away from the natural beauty of the area. So nothing we build will stand out. It has to fit into the natural environment.
And part two, employee housing.
Employee housing, that's a big piece of what we have to do because a lot of the employees that we're bringing in are coming in from outside because we don't have the properly trained employees. We're working on a hospitality college and training programs, but a lot of the employees we're bringing in are from Philippines and elsewhere, and so we have to have safe employee housing, and so we have 2 campuses where we have the employee housing, and so that will obviously the number of employees will decrease from outside as we train up locals for the jobs in Saudi.
So you're building up a training infrastructure.
Absolutely, it's important. We have to have those frontline employees because when a visitor comes, all due respect to our friends from the Philippines, they don't necessarily want to engage with a Filipino waiter or waitress or room attendant. They want to engage with locals so they can ask questions and feel like they're having an authentic visitor experience.
And then you have to train them too.
And they do, yeah.
English?
English is a big part of most of the employees we have speak English, and they're bilingual. That's the primary language. Now we're also training up certain tour guides in French, Italian, German, and other languages, but the primary language spoken is English.
Last question about airlift. You got flights going, but they're regional carriers, right? No U.S. carriers yet.
No, but we're trying to add all of the alliances. So we have One World starting service to AlUla through Amman, Jordan on Royal Jordanian in January. We have Emirates/Star Alliance through Dubai. We have Flynas flying out of Cairo, which is again Star Alliance, and then Saudi is part of SkyTeam. So we have all the alliances covered and all. So you can do a one-stop to AlUla direct, either through Dubai, through Amman, or through Cairo.
And relatively speaking, in terms of airline route expansion, that's almost inconceivable that it happened that fast.
Well, we've worked very hard, and we're doing a little monetary support to encourage the...
Little monetary support,
Yeah.
always helpful. Phillip Jones from AlUla, please thank him.
Thank you very much.